It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We came to Japan to see our ex-girlfriend one more time, and we saw her. Then she pulled her shades down, and we could not see her anymore. Talk Funny podcast from NagoyaRadio.com and Nagoya Comedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Mark Bailey, Mike Miller, Talk Funny.
We're back.
You were telling me about a guy, Barry Cooper, isn't it?
Barry Cooper, yes. He
got a YouTube channel?
You'd never get busted again. And it's a fascinating channel. Now, I am not in his demographic, let's just say that, but it's an interesting channel about...
What's his demographic?
His demographic, well, let's just say people who like taking trips. You know, they like travel. People who like to travel.
I don't get the... is that a euphemism?
Yes.
He has a reason to run from the cops.
Yes, he has a reason to run from the cops. Let's just say that they probably wouldn't let him into Japan for that same reason.
I see, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, remember the Abbott and Costello Niagara Falls routine?
Uh-huh.
So when someone talks about, things I don't like about the cops, you had me there. You had me at things I don't like about the cops.
Things I shouldn't say about the police.
My last stand-up bit was to the tune of 12 Days of Christmas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I had like 15 items because like the cops don't stop at 12. We've done this before. I stopped by the cops 12 times in 8 days.
We're going to make you a T-shirt. It's going to say, I fit the description.
Yeah. Just give me a T-shirt that says suspect.
The usual suspect.
Can you describe him? Yeah, he had a shirt that said suspect. All right, it's going to be easy to find him.
Or just get it written on the shirt. Am I free to go?
And
Itemo desu ka? Put that on your T-shirt and just point at it.
And we're looking for the suspect. Was he Japanese? What do you think? What do you think? So, basically, my wife doesn't know what I do at the office. She thinks I'm actually...
What happens at the office stays at the office.
Stays at the office, goes on the podcast.
Yes.
But she thinks I'm making money and I'm working and stuff.
What?
The truth is, I just kind of sit here and I watch police brutality videos.
Oh, yeah. Do you watch Lackluster? Have you seen Lackluster? There's a whole channel.
Probably.
It's essentially a whole channel devoted to like illegal search and seizure and cops abusing power.
Well, I watched one. It's something to the effect of cops and how they got fired. Cops that get fired.
Yeah.
Karens reacting with cops, which is a different vantage point. But basically, I just sit here and I sip my tea.
Flex your rights.
I sip my tea and I watch YouTube videos
People getting arrested.
Of cops getting fired and cops abusing their position. And I get angrier and angrier and angrier. And then I'll write some bits.
And then you get stopped by the Japanese police.
Then I get stopped when I leave. I watch those for 8 hours. Then a cop pulls me over when I leave.
Oh, and we forgot to talk about the Japanese guy who does those videos.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Japanese guy.
He wasn't Japanese. He was like Cuban.
He's Cuban Japanese, I think. So
okay.
he looks like a foreigner, but he's actually a Japanese national.
He knows his Kempo. That's the Constitution.
He knows his Constitution, and the cops are trying to stop him in front of Shibuya Station or somewhere, or Shinjuku.
And he won't answer.
And he's like, he won't answer. And they say, show us your ID. And he's like, no, I'm not going to show you my ID.
Finally,
I don't have to.
touches him.
And finally, the cop touches him, and he freaks out, and he's like, social distance, social distance, what is it? Shakai teki
na kyori onegaishimasu. Shakai teki na kyori onegaishimasu.
We'll find his YouTube.
You can't shout it too loud because the cops are going to come up.
Yeah, that's
here.
right.
Okay,
but it's great. But he's doing it for 10 minutes, and the cops, to be fair to the cops, they kept their calm, but they were insistent. No, we need to see your ID. We need to see your ID. And he's like, no, I don't need to show you my ID. And here's a little known fact for anyone who's living or traveling in Japan. You have to show your ID if you're a foreigner. You don't have to show your ID if you're Japanese.
It's
if
not
you're
optional.
Japanese national.
It's not optional.
But if you're a foreigner, you have to, by law, show your ID. I know I've had friends who've refused and gotten away with it, but they literally have grounds to arrest you if you don't show your ID as a foreigner.
But my advice is, you do have to, because we
have equal rights.
Of course. There's just no reason at all that they treat us this way. Just look at my skin color and then my leather jacket and my hidden tattoo.
And you can't vote. Isn't that interesting how they don't care about people that don't vote?
Well, we built Toyohashi. We're Toyohashiites. You built this city, but you can't vote. That's what they did in Toyohashi. We haven't been back there, have we?
Toyohashi.
Yeah. We haven't
what
been
happened to
back.
Toyohashi? They were such a warm crowd.
They love it when you make fun of their city.
Actually,
it's not your city. That's my point.
It's to be fair. To be fair, we had a good crowd in Toyohashi that one time we went. We did what we did twice at Atlantica, and we did have a good crowd, but we had all the passive aggressive. We talked about that in the previous podcast. We had the passive aggressivity.
But the hot, I love the hot Milfy owner, and she just told us.
She seemed nice.
She was nice, but it's business. It's tell Mark and Mike and Timmy I always liked them. It was never personal. It was only business. but we're whacking you.
We're whacking you. We got a guy in a car.
She told me, she said, look, you only brought like 24 people last time, and I need to bring 25 or 30 people.
Well, look, if they have a dance night, they can probably fill that room. So I get it. It's business. I mean, English comedy in Toyohashi, there aren't that many foreigners living in Toyohashi.
But they have a great sense of humor in Toyohashi.
Oh,
we really,
awesome.
Oh, yeah. They love it.
Completely.
They like it when you make fun of English teachers.
And women, too.
Yeah. My advice about, you do have to show your ID, so don't be a...
I mean, you can try and fight it. You can ask the Japanese cop to show you his what is it?
That's what
techo.
I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to.
What do they call it? Keisatsu techo.
Yeah.
Or they have to show you their badge.
That's what I'm getting
But it's the same in the U.S., right?
That's what I'm getting at. And if you ask, so what's your name? What's the officer's name? Your badge number?
Yes.
And your precinct?
They have to tell you.
And your sergeant's name. You're allowed to ask that, but you also have to show.
You're also allowed to record.
Yeah.
In Japan.
You have to
But
show
they
your
will
ID.
always try, cops will always
They will
try and
tell
tell
you no. They
you
will tell you
can't.
no.
But you have a right to record. You have a right to, actually, Japan is pretty clear about right to record and take pictures in public areas. In public areas, you have the right to take photographs and you have the right to record. I was once stopped by a woman on the street. We were taking pictures outside my apartment, and this woman's like, "You can't take pictures here. This is a residence. There are people
Japanese
coming
don't
and
take
going."
pictures, Mike.
And we're like, I think
Mike,
we do.
see
Yeah,
the
that's
irony?
right. Yeah, exactly.
Japanese taking pictures?
Yes.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that, except in like
All over the world?
Remember Crocodile Dundee? That was horrible.
Sorry, cut you off. Go
stereotypical,
ahead.
stereotypical Japanese guy with a camera.
So she told you.
But yes, she said you can't take pictures here, and she was calling. She called the cops on us. And I was there with my friend who knew the law even better than I did because he's very into photography. And he said, no, we have the right to do this. But he said, let's get out of here because she's going to call the cops. And we don't want to deal with the cops. So you do have the right to record the cops. Even if they tell you you don't, you can. And please do.
We did an episode, and you know this guy, but he's not on the podcast right now. And I know this guy really well, and I really like this guy a lot.
Did something happen to this guy?
Well, something happened
Is something
to this
going
guy.
to happen to this guy?
Yeah, well, this guy, he has a habit. Also, his friend, who he calls his negative friend.
Uh-huh.
These two guys have a habit of you see a beautiful girl and they'll take a picture on the subway or something.
Oh,
just really,
no.
Yeah, and that's like a $5,000 fine
Wow.
minimum, and it comes
Wow.
with jail time.
Wow.
And if you
Did
ride
not
the
know that.
subway, you'll see these posters.
Okay.
Of it looks like anime, and it shows a guy filming. You wouldn't know this, Mike, and I don't know how I know this, but apparently there's like upskirt photos and stuff like that, and Japan is the capital. Of
Yes,
that, right?
it is.
Right. That's what
They
I've
call
heard.
it-
That's what you told me.
They call it tosatsu in Japanese.
yeah.
There's a word for it. That's how common
Tell me
it
more
is.
about it, Mike.
Yes.
How much does it pay?
rope? How much rope do we have here? Can I hang myself with it?
So what do we know about this? But it's a specialty.
I don't get it personally.
It's a specialty in Japan. There's posters everywhere in subway, and they show a chikan, which is a pervert, chikan, and he's
Molester.
filming a girl going up the escalator, and then at the top of the escalator you see a kin-san, which is the station personnel, glaring at him, and it says in Japanese, that's a felony. That's a felony.
I find it so funny they have to have posters like this in the subway. Like, shouldn't people know that that's kind of a felony? Like, you can't do that. But then again, I mean, in the 80s in Japan,
Yeah.
they were getting away with all sorts of crap. I mean, women's rights in Japan is a pretty new thing, you know? Women are still discriminated
I'm sorry,
against.
you lost me. Women's rights in Japan.
Yeah.
Please expand.
Power
When did
to the
that start?
sisters. Sisters, power to the sisters.
Sisters aren't doing it for themselves, not in Japan.
To all the sisters out there, we
But
feel
what
you.
bothers me is that
We
poster,
don't feel you that way, but we feel you.
that poster, what bothers me is it's a pretty sexy poster.
I know. It's like you don't
The
you want to make
poster
it look
of the girl,
non-attractive?
So I took a picture of the poster. That's a nice looking way. I like the way you drew her. That's really nice.
She's not bad. She's just drawn that way.
And a kin-san came up to me and said, "You're not allowed to take photos
of the
of
posters.
the posters because that's a girl's upskirt
Oh no!
on the poster." And I said, "But it's not a real girl." No, did I say me?
I hope this is going to
wait.
Patreon.
My
I hope
friend-
this is going to Patreon.
My friend was accosted by the kin-san, and he said, "You're not allowed to take a picture of the poster." And my friend said, "I like the way she's drawn." And the kin-san, the station master, said, "You're not allowed to do that. I think you don't understand the meaning of the poster. We put it up there not that so that people could take pictures of it. We don't like you taking pictures
In
of
some
girls."
Yeah.
Okay, so to get back to that, so my friend that you've met, you may have even worked with him. He had a really bad habit of taking pictures, and he had a couple of close calls.
Oh, dear.
And he used Timmy's advice, which was go to your apartment and push all the buttons on the elevator and take the stairs. because people are looking for
Who gave that? Another friend. Another
Tessio.
friend.
Tessio.
Tessio.
Call
Tessio.
back.
Yeah.
Tessio. Just an Italian name that doesn't exist. Mark Bailey, Mike Miller, Talk Funny.